Hi, Ntando. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Siddharth?
I'm fine. It's been a while. So my opening question to you is: since our last chat, what personal or professional shifts have you experienced that have had the biggest impact on your journey?
Yeah, a lot has happened in personally and at work. And I think sometimes we gauge ourselves with growth. You know, you want to elevate, want to get a promotion, whatnot, and then but you don't see the growth if you're not elevating.
Mm,
So, in as much as I have not elevated, but there's still a lot of growth. There's a lot of learning as well. And I mean, we spent most of our time at work, and it would be a shame if you're not growing in that space. But I am growing. It's teaching me a lot about myself. It's teaching me a lot in my spirituality as well, because I mean, this is a space where I occupy the most. I spend
mm,
most of the time at home, maybe on weekends with my son, sure, but at work, that's where I interact with people the most. So that's where I know what made me angry the most. And when I'm angry, how do I handle situations? And so there's been a lot of learning in that instance. And obviously, I mean, I'm still able to do research at work, even though that's not what I am appointed for, but I'm still able to do my historical research. I'm able to meet people, and I'm also able to I think I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I'm a self-taught photographer, so I'm also able to do that in my
wow.
workspace. And so it's quite exciting, as difficult uh, it has been this year. There's a point where I actually even wanted to resign. It was absolutely emotionally taxing as well. It dealt with me a lot, but I think in that space, that is something I needed to go through, and to get to where I am now, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Because I mean, that dealt with me not just emotionally, but physically as well. But yeah, that's what's been happening
Mhm.
lately at work.
Has your healing practice evolved in any new directions recently? Perhaps new modalities, teachings, or experiences?
Okay. What I've realized about healing is that there's no one size fits all. You
Mm,
can go to initiation and train a certain way, but when somebody comes, their guides will want you to help them in a certain other way. So there's no one size fits all. And I think one time I was telling somebody that I enjoy helping people because their guides come back and help me too. And I create friends in the spiritual realm as well. So I've grown a lot, and you find that you are taught in a certain way, but then as you evolve, you find other ways. So initiation is every day. You grow every day. So if you go to bed and there's something you still have not learned anything, then your day was a waste of time, basically. But I doubt anybody goes to bed having not learned anything. It's just up to
mm,
you realizing what you have actually learned. But and there's a cousin of mine who's initiated in another country. I'm not gonna mention where, because he hasn't given me he hasn't said I could speak about him.
mm,
But we sat down at some point and we shared what we have both learned, and we realized, okay, we'd really like to work together because I could learn something from him, he could learn something from
mm,
from me as well. And me having not really gone through the traditional initiation process, it's very difficult for people to trust that I know what I'm doing. But I always tell them that I'm not here to prove myself, to prove that I know what I'm talking about, to prove that I can connect with the higher being, with the spirits. So whenever somebody comes to me and then they say, okay, so you tell me what's wrong with me, I'm like, how am I supposed to tell you what's wrong with you? You tell me what's wrong with you. Because I think at that moment they're trying to see, does she know what she's talking about?
mm,
Just the other day I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Mkulu. He tells me that he felt so bad, as if his powers, so to say, are not as strong anymore, because he tried to help somebody and that person is still not healed, so to say. And I told him that, but that's not up to you, and
Mm.
I felt like that was the ego speaking. It's not up to you to decide that a person needs to heal a certain way. So if you do your work, it's up to them whether they accept that or not. And it's your ego if you feel like my powers are not, that's your ego at play. So you do, and this is not your powers. You do the work of God. You do the work of your spirits and the guides, and you go as far as you go. Like they say, you can take the horse to the river, but you cannot make it drink. So
Mm.
if a person is not ready at that point, there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. So you cannot force a person to heal. You cannot force a person to see light just because you've suddenly
Mm.
seen light. It's also not fair. And it's very egotistical as well. So I think that has also come into play, because in as much as when somebody comes for healing or for advice, it also is advice to me. It's a reminder to myself as well that, hey, you keep yourself in check. And I think in my healing journey, I've been told a lot to get rid of the ego. In our prayer session yesterday, so my mom, I hope she's listening here. She's always calling on Sundays. Have you gone to church? My church is on Friday. I pray. I have a spiritual family that we pray, we meditate, we speak about God. And we were speaking about. I was talking about how for a very long time I have been operating on the ego. And when you operate on the ego is not completely bad, but I mean sometimes you fill yourself up with the ego that it removes your faith as well. For example, you'd pray, God, can I have this? Immediately as you're done praying, you're trying to look for ways of obtaining what you've just asked God to do. So you're not giving God a chance to fix things for you, but that's your ego at play. And you're removing away your faith. So I was just saying that in the past few weeks, I've been letting God, like literally let God take space, and I'm trying to fill myself with God's light as well, so that I can remove the ego away, because it can really be crippling. It can be damaging as well, especially in your spiritual journey. So, and a lot of the things are blocked by our own ego. So you think
Mm.
somebody's bewitching you, somebody's doing this, but things are happening that way simply because your ego is not, is at play. You just blocking a lot of your things with the ego. So that's my journey. But I'm continuing to, to see people come to me mostly for counsel as well, and I enjoy using my hands. I think these hands
Mhm.
are healers as well. And yeah, it's been quite interesting. Looking at 6 months ago when I wanted to quit my job, when it was so difficult and I felt like I've been let down by my guides, but that also because I was operating from a space of not feeling safe, not feeling held by the spirit. And yeah, I could go on and on about my guides and God and the lessons that I have learned from them. But yeah, it's been amazing.
Okay, what recent moments have deeply affirmed your purpose as a healer, writer, or cultural historian?
Okay, so a lot, especially because those are different spheres of my life.
Mm.
So I'm just gonna nitpick because there's like
Okay.
literally a lot that has shaped who I am. We are busy with the G20 now. So in Free State we have it's a cultural roadshow or something like that. And I was working on like a small document that we're going to give to the people that are visiting us, and I was doing research there. So it was historical research, and I realized how excited historical research is for me. And it was literally amazing. I was also called by GCIS. They were doing during Africa Month. They invited me to do a radio interview, and we were talking about being African. What does it mean to be African? And it was just such an interesting conversation that we were having, and looking at what's happening in society now. Do we think that some of the policies that govern our country are good for us Africans,
Mm.
and the whole aspect of Ubuntu, is it working for us? there was a gentleman who spoke about how Ubuntu can be used in a manipulative way. When
Mm.
you want to get your way, you tell people about Ubuntu, but it's not fair in some instances. And I quite understood what he meant by that. You use Ubuntu just to manipulate Untando to be selfless. But should we be selfless? Is it working
Mm.
out for us? Is it working out for everybody? But you look at where we stay. I mean, where I stay, I don't know my neighbors. I know just a few, like literally my next door neighbor, but we're not communal anymore. But it's so foreign to us. I was also
Mm.
talking to somebody about how we don't greet as much as we used to anymore. And these things are foreign to us. This is why I think a lot of us are sick. A lot of us think we are depressing, when in actual fact you just need to have a conversation with your neighbor. Like, you need to know your neighbor, you need to speak with people. And we try so hard to do things on our own, but it's not real. It's not going to happen.
Mm.
I'm a single mother, but I know very well that I cannot single-handedly raise my child. So there's
Mm.
always community. Luckily, I am so held, I'm so protected, I'm so supported by spirit, that there's always somebody there to help me out. It's holidays and my son is in KZN visiting. So I can be alone and do the things that I want. So it just also goes to show that you're in community, you're not alone. So and in my spiritual journey, I've been meeting a lot of I've been finding what we call the tribe. So that's been amazing as well. I've been meeting a lot of people that I can, because sometimes you think you're crazy. You explain some things, explain some dreams to somebody that doesn't know or understand your spiritual journey, and they think you're crazy. But if you meet somebody that is like you feel so safe.
Mm.
Like, oh, okay, so at least somebody sees me, at least. So having that community as well has quite helped me a lot in my journey. And just, when you can't pray because you're going through something, that and you know that somebody is praying for you. So you get into a space and you're like, please just pray for me, because I really don't know what's happening. But there are people that pray for you. And so yeah, in those aspects of my life, that's basically what's been happening. And God has been showing up and showing themselves through all the people and all the things that have been happening in my life.
Okay, on the writing and creative work, are there any new writings or projects you're currently working on, or perhaps something recently published you're excited about?
Yes, so this is the first time I'm actually speaking about it. I am
Oh.
busy writing. I started writing beginning of the year. So my books are anthologies of poems that I've published, but this time around, but this time around it's not. This time
Mm-hmm.
around, I am publishing a proper research book. I've interviewed quite a few women,
Mm-hmm.
and their stories, their narratives as well, and looking at some of the themes from her voice as well. It's been quite interesting. I've interviewed women from all walks of life, I believe, and people will be able to identify with these women as well, and their stories, and they are raw. But what I've realized also as I go, because I've asked God to come before me also in this space, because I understand this project is
Mm-hmm.
beyond me. So I've asked God to help me pick those women. And I realize that when I go to somebody and request them for this interview, they start their
Mm-hmm.
healing journey immediately. There's a lady who started journaling immediately after I asked her. And we met, we had a conversation. There's another one who said, I'm not ready to, and I have to respect that. I'm not ready yet to speak because this is just too much for me. It's very difficult for me. And I respected that. But then I said to her, okay, you start doing, because I understand that this is a healing journey for them as well. This is a healing journey for their ancestors as well, because as they speak, some of our experiences, because trauma lives, through everybody. My grandmother's trauma, some of it lives through me. So I understand that some of these stories that I'm living, some of the experiences are actually hers, and they just need to be aired. So it's as they speak, they're also healing the people that came before them. And so that's how I understand that this book is more powerful than me. It's bigger than me, and I'm taking my time with it. I'm not rushing. I'm saying, God, in your time, let it happen. Because I know with me, I would have wanted to publish already, but I'm like, you know what? Let it. And as I read it, normally when I do my work, I read it and I take it to the editor too. But I read more and more over and over again to understand the healing aspect that this book is bringing up.
Okay. How was your understanding or interpretation of ancestral knowledge and storytelling changed or deepened lately?
Yeah, storytelling is important, and this goes back to what we just spoke about with the book and what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I started doing my research in Stateville, I would just go there. I would just go to people and ask, "Tell me what your story is. What's your story?" And people feel heard. People feel seen when you ask them what their stories are. And in as much as I'm busy with my research currently, when I speak to these women about their stories, I'm not prescriptive. I don't prescribe to them what they should speak about. I let the stories unfold and everything just gels. Everything is just so organic. But storytelling is important. I recently went to Khodumodumo.
Mm-hmm.
This is in Golden Gate. It's
Okay.
a new dinosaur sort of interpretation site, like not a museum, but an interpretation site of some sort of dinosaur. And before you start uh, going through the whole exhibitions, you are taken into a space where you listen to somebody is like a 10-minute clip, and how the story is told from Basotho cultural perspective of the dinosaurs, or this Khodumodumo, this big animal that came and swallowed everybody, you know, and you quite appreciate storytelling in that sense. And when people tell this, we allow them to tell their stories, they realize also that there are some hidden stories that they've actually even forgotten themselves, and as they speak, as they tell, they are able to start healing. So there's a lot of healing in storytelling as well. And there's a lot of also our ancestral stories. I remember when I was writing Ancestor Incarnate, there was a poem that came about being married but being a single mother, a single parent, or whatever. And I asked my grandmother during meditation, like, what do you mean? Like, what's happening? I don't get, because it took me a while to write that. Then she said, yes, because that's my story. I was married for sure, but I felt single in that. I felt like a single mother, was doing everything on my own. But then you take it back to apartheid, to segregation, to men having to leave and go work in mines, and so you understand those legacies. And we also understand how through the storytelling, you also understand what our mothers know, the pain our mothers have had to suffer through. You understand the legacies and what you really need to cut cords with as well. So we have been, I think personally, I have been very hard on my mother as well. Because I have not understood her journey. I have not understood what has brought her to where she is. And also, there's no manual in raising children. There's absolutely no manual. I could be raising my child now thinking I'm the greatest mom, also because he
Mm-hmm.
tells me that, but he'll be 18 years later and going to a psychologist and talking about how I messed him up. So there's no so everybody is doing the best that they can, but everybody has a story, and we seldom sit down and understand people's stories. That's why I don't get offended on the road when somebody flips me, or in the street driving, because I'm thinking, no, they're probably just going through something. Some of it, well, obviously I will tell them off, also because I'm also human. But in some instances, thinking, shame, man, there's just something that they're going through. There's something bad. And also, just like when you know that a person is good at their job, but today they suddenly bad, then you know that there's something. So storytelling is in our lived experiences. And just because somebody is not telling you what's happening, you can't just assume that there's something deeper than that. So I really would encourage people to tell their stories, even if it's to a psychologist, or just so that you can air the wounds and heal. I'm such a believer in healing. I heal first. So it's absolutely important to me for to tell stories. And Yeah, and know the stories of our ancestors as well.
Okay, now let's get to the healing and community work. What reoccurring themes are you seeing in the people or communities coming to you for healing recently?
Okay. Let me just also mention that I've been working with an organization called the Andile Mkono Foundation, which is based in Mnambiti. I've been assisting them with their communications and media. So that's one aspect that has been, I've been aligned with at the moment. A foundation that is assisting mainly young people. Because they're trying to nurture the talent of young people in Umnambiti, and they're hoping to grow beyond the borders of KZN to the rest of South Africa and Africa. But at this moment, that's what they're doing. So I've been aligned with that foundation at the moment. But also, just recently, there's a lady who came to me. I could see the defeat in her eyes, and then she said, um I just don't know what to do. Just please help me. And then we sat down. I'm such a believer in quietening down, I'm not saying the other methods are wrong, because I mean, drums are also healing. A lot is healing, but I'm such a believer in just quieten down, just calm, just keep calm. And then we realize that, so, which is also back to myself. A lot of the things that I thought were just too bad this year were really not that bad. All I needed was just to calm down. So I just said, calm down, let's pray. And we prayed. And she said, I have not even been praying for a very long time because I thought prayer is pointless. But I understand it. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Even me, it happens to me. So I was telling you that even me, it happens to me where I'm thinking, I can't. But that's me moving away from God. God doesn't move away. You've moved away from God. So those have been recurring themes as well. And your healing is so amazing. I dreamt about somebody who did not come to me at all. So I obviously asked for permission from them if I could relay the message to them, and only to find that they actually needed, and it's something that they were working through at that moment. And his guides came and told me exactly what herbs to give him, what he should buy, and he went out of his way to get those herbs. He couldn't find them at the store, and he went online and ordered them and got them. So God is amazing. Our guides are amazing. Spirit is amazing. There's always alignment, and the moment you're sure of what you want, everything aligns. This morning I was listening to this gentleman speak about how people always say, I want this, they pray for whatever, but you're not prescriptive, you're not descriptive of exactly what you want. You say you just want a car, but what car do you want? So as you pray, you must say exactly what it is that you want. So in my conversations with people, and I love having conversations, because as you have conversation, you hear the voice of the ancestors as well. You hear the voice of God in the conversation that you're having. And sometimes I would speak and think, oh, that's good, but that doesn't come from me. I'm not that smart. I'm not that spiritually aligned. I don't know that. And you know that, the powers beyond us are at play. But I think everything aligns. I needed money yesterday. I didn't have it, and as I was panicking, like, oh my goodness, like things are going to. And then I was like, and then there's a voice that came and said, just calm down, be calm, be still. And it was literally after the still. So as it said, be still, and then I prayed for a little bit. I meditated for 5 minutes, and then miraculously, like I'm going to say it was a miracle, that everything just fell into place immediately after that. And I thought, oh my goodness, I am so held by spirits. I am so, so supported. And this is not a fairy tale. It literally happened, because and the lovely thing about this is that even science is proving these things. Just align, just align. The universe align. Astrologers will tell you this. Spiritualists, carrot readers, and this and this and this will tell you the same thing. Just if things align, just keep calm and everything will fall into place.
Have there been any powerful rituals, ceremonies, or healing moments you'd feel comfortable sharing with us?
I have not done any ancestral ceremonies of late. I have not
Uh-huh.
slaughtered in a very long time. My family had a ritual last year for my late uncle, but I was not there. I had a lot of work to do, but I haven't. But it doesn't mean I'm not doing anything in my space. I'm a high believer in meditation. I will swear by meditation. I'm sorry if that's wrong to say, but I meditate as much. And if you want to call that a ritual, sure. I pray at the mountain a lot. But there's another project that I'm working on at work where there's a lady who's a healer applied for a space, like it's a sacred space. She wants that space to be declared a provincial heritage site. So we had a chance to go there and see that space. And I have not felt, I meditate at my place all the time, but there's almost like all these noises. I have not felt so much peace in a very long time. There was literally no noise, no noise. There was a peace that came through. We were sitting in front of a stream meditating, and there's a peace that came through all of us. I cannot believe that. I don't know how to explain it, but the three of us, I went to two of my other colleagues. The three of us were talking, like we also could not explain. We're like this, and we want to go back to that place because we want to meditate for at least an hour because we want to just, I even said, I wish I could take this calm, take it with me and take it to my home because this is the most amazing thing I have felt this year. I don't know how anointed the place is, but God lives there, So I
Mm.
want to go there and experience the place because I want to be in the presence of God. So that's been amazing. But yes, I do, and obviously then you're taking people to the river for cleansing, taking people just around for and it's just the cleansing, the normal cleansing that we do as healers as well. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey this year. Like as I said, 6 months ago, wanting to resign, wanting to leave that space because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like there's absolutely no way. And I remember my mom asking, "Do you have another job? Because you resign now. This is South Africa. This is Cyril's economy. Where are you going to get a job after this?"
Mm.
And God sent a lot of people my way during that time just to speak to me. People I had not even said anything to just came and said the right thing. So God will send you angels on earth. There's always an angel. There's always somebody just willing to listen to what you have to say. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm so grateful to you for this platform as well, just to just share where I've been because until I speak about it, I don't realize exactly what has happened in the year. So as I was going through the questions, I'm like, oh my goodness, so much has happened, and I haven't even given myself a chance to just sit down and take it all in and appreciate where God has taken me from to where I am now. And it's just been amazing to talk about my project, this book. I'm not saying when I'm going to launch it. Would have loved to do it in August during Women's Month, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately, or fortunately. But everything is all in God's timing. So as soon as God then allows it, it will happen when it should.
Okay, let's get to the cultural reflections and observations. As a historian, what recent historical or cultural shifts in South Africa or globally have stood out to you the most?
Okay, let's repeat that question again. Say that again. I think.
Oh, sure. As a historian, what recent historical or cultural shifts in South Africa or globally have stood out to you the most?
Um, Not that much. Uh, I don't want to be controversial because as you
Oh,
bring in the history part, that's
uh-huh.
it's a discipline that would want you to yeah, you understand history and research, and it's unlike I could blab as an author and a healer, but then when it comes to that, it's But I'll just say we're looking forward to G20
Mm-hmm.
in South Africa. At, and I'm looking forward to the president's address tomorrow. I can't wait to hear what they have to say, because I personally was affected by the political killings. My brother was killed in 2016. So the
Okay.
disbandment of that is it is a lot unfortunate for a lot of us. And I also come from Stateville. I've written quite a lot about Stateville and the violence that we've experienced in Stateville. So when you look at what's happening and what is allegedly corruption within the police force, but I mean, having experienced some of the things as well, look, we've seen things, we've noticed things growing up, or personal perspective. But I still would love, as a historian, I still would love to explore more the history, the violence in Stateville. I was speaking to a colleague of mine who works at Arts and Culture National, and they want to start the process of healing wounds, and this is taking some they're drawing some inspiration from the TRC process. So and I said to him, please consider Stateville there as you do this, because and we unfortunately did not have the TRC in Umnambit. People had to go, whether um, they went to Newcastle. I think there was one. Was it in Newcastle or was it in Maritzburg? But I checked. They went people from Stateville during the TRC. So I really would love to see people sort of heal those wounds, because we walk around and we pretend as if everything is okay, but there are some people who still are bleeding through what happened during the violence. So what has stood out for me in the news basically has been that, and I'm hoping that the president does right by the people of South Africa. I'm not saying aligning myself with a certain side or anything. I'm just aligning myself with the truth. We want people to heal. We want people to find truth. We want people to, we want justice. So basically, yeah, where to answer your question, basically, I didn't want to. I thought I would get controversial, but I thought, what, let me just almost say it. We need to find truth with regards to all of this.
Okay. How do you think traditional knowledge is being received by younger generations today compared to a year or two ago?
The nice thing about this generation is that they're quite inquisitive, and they ask questions. My son and I meditate when we ground outside from time to time, and he would ask, he's 6, but he asks, why do we do this? What does this mean? We recently bought, well, not recently, but we have singing bells, and he learned to use them before me. So he'll sit there and then start playing them, and he gets so excited. And he's also got drums. Like, I bought this small drum, but he plays the instruments the most, more than me. But I think the younger generation are actually seekers of knowledge. They ask the why a lot. And they want to make sense of a lot of things. So I don't think this generation is lost. I think this is a generation that is going to bring us to ourselves. Um, and I've been quite impressed. I work a lot with young people. I've worked with quite a few cultural organizations where young people are. We go to schools. We have a talk with young people, and they're not lost. So we might think they're doing this and they've moved away from God, but these people are very close to God. These are the people that are much closer to God. Um, in some instances where I'm tired and I don't want to do anything, my son will be the one to remind me that we need to pray. And he prays so long. Sometimes I'll be like, Amen. But no, he will not let me deter him. He will continue, and he will pray for the planet. He will pray for the solar system, for all the for all the planets, my child, and speak, and if something has annoyed him, that's another thing. um that I use that process to understand how his day was. Because sometimes I'll ask him, "How was your day?" "Oh, no, it was fine." But during prayer, then I'm able to know what really made him sad, what made him angry, or what excited him, But I think I'm so excited for this generation. They these people are very close to God. They're not lost. They absolutely not. Maybe we are, and I know there's a lot of criticism around them, but they are not. I'm very excited for this generation. I think they know what they're talking about. I think they're absolutely smart, and I cannot wait to be a part of what the bigger, or whatever God is showing us through these young people. But it's going to be amazing.
Okay, looking forward, my final question to you is what's calling to you next, whether creatively, spiritually, or in service to the community?
Um, let's leave it to God. Let's see what God has in store for us. But from my perspective, the assignment that God has given me is this book, to heal through this book, to allow the process to unfold as much as possible, and also understanding my responsibility, that in as much as I sit down with you. I remember I interviewed this lady. She's plus 80. She's over 80 years old. And
Wow.
she says to me, "This is the first time that I'm actually speaking about my life." And she starts crying. And it's like, "I didn't realize that I'm feeling this way. I didn't realize that this has affected me so much, And to hear her say she's over 80, but this is the first time that she's speaking about her life. And she's like, "Thank you so much for taking interest in my life. And I thought, "Oh my God, this is amazing." But I was like, "This is God." And so we do whatever needs. So I understand some people are Christians, and so we will do the Christian, because I respect everybody. So we will then sit down and pray. If she wants to open the Bible, we'll open the Bible, and we sit and we pray. So every person wants to heal the way that they want to heal, and that's okay. And I'm not going to be prescriptive that, okay, because I'm like this, then we must do it this way. Luckily, I'm a very respectful person, and more than anything, my guys always say, "You are a healer first. You're a healer first." So we ensure that we leave a person healed. So we've opened this wound. So how do we help them heal this wound? So I am excited for that journey. I'm excited that God is using me as a vessel to help heal people, whichever way that He's doing it. God knows best, and it's not up to me. But it's been absolutely amazing. I'm for it, and God can continue to use me, because God uses me to heal others, but also God uses me to heal me, and God is using me to heal my ancestors as well. And I think we need to remember that. We need to remember that even our ancestors need a lot of healing, because we need to break some of these wounds that are still bleeding on the current generation. We need to cut ties with them. We need to break them, but we only break them once we heal them too. But I'm here for it. So I'm excited to see what God has in store for me, what more God wants me to do. But it's been an amazing every day. So I wake up and I'm like, "Okay, God, show me then what you have in store for me. What amazing thing do you have for me today?" And even in instances where there was a time where I was at my lowest, and I said, "God, I cannot wait to see what you have in store for me. Like what lesson you have me learning after this." And it's been absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Difficult. I'm not going to paint it all rosy and act as if,
Mm.
that there are no instances where I go to bed like with an anxiety. There was a time where I actually thought I had high blood pressure. No, I actually did
Oh,
have high blood pressure. I was all swollen, and they were even the doctors even thought it was kidney failure. So I went and tested for kidney failure, because things were just. But that was a process. That's what I went through. But now I understand my body, understand what's happening, and understand how I need to deal with certain things, because a lot was thrown my way. A lot. When you have like 10 people against you, and you're thinking, "But I did not do anything. And I was trying to go out of my way to prove my innocence. But God was like, "Keep calm, keep calm. And that's another thing, like trying to explain every time that I'm innocent, I didn't do this, I didn't, it was just eating up at my head. It was just too much. And all I needed to do was just, I know that I didn't do anything. I know I did right. So just relax in it. But yeah, I cannot wait to see what God has in store for me more. But I want that car, I want that mansion, I want that money. He can even trust me with Lotto if he wants to. I'll be very happy.
Okay. All I gotta say though, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye.